Once upon a time, in a quiet village nestled between green hills and a winding river, there lived a young man named Leotis. Leo was kind and hard-working, but he carried a heavy burden in his heart. Every day he compared himself to others. He looked at his neighbor, who had a bigger house, and felt small. He watched his friend, who was better at singing, and felt untalented. He saw the merchants in the marketplace who seemed richer, and felt poor. No matter what he did, he could not shake the feeling that he was not enough. One evening, as Leo sat by the river, an old man with a long white beard approached him. The man had wise eyes and a calm presence. He sat beside Leo without a word and watched the water flow. After a long silence, the old man spoke. "Why does the river never compare itself to the sea?" he asked. Leo was confused. "What do you mean?" he replied. The old man smiled. "The river does not worry that the sea is wider or deeper. It does not rush to become something else. It simply flows, carrying life wherever it goes. If the river spent its days wishing to be the sea, it would forget its own beauty." Leo thought about this. He had never considered that comparison could steal joy from his life. "But how can I stop?" he asked. The old man picked up 2 stones from the riverbank. One was smooth and polished, the other rough and jagged. "Which one is better?" he asked. Leo hesitated. "The smooth one, I suppose. It looks nicer." The old man chuckled. "The rough stone cuts rope. The smooth stone skips across water. Each has its purpose. If the rough stone spent its days wishing to be smooth, it would never do what it was meant to do." The lesson began to sink in. Leo realized that comparing himself to others was like a stone wishing to be something else. It only made him forget his own strengths. The old man continued, "Comparison is a thief. It steals your peace, your confidence, and your time. The only person you should compare yourself to is the person you were yesterday. Are you kinder? Are you wiser? That is how you measure growth." From that day on, Leo practiced this wisdom. When he felt the urge to compare himself to others, he asked instead, "Am I better than I was before?" Some days the answer was yes. Some days no. But he learned that life was not a race against others. It was a journey with himself. He noticed that the more he focused on his own path, the more he appreciated the small victories. A conversation with a friend felt deeper. A walk in the hills felt more peaceful. Even his work improved, not because he was trying to outdo anyone, but because he gave it his full attention. Years passed, and Leo became known in the village for his quiet confidence. People often asked him for advice, and he would tell them the story of the river and the stones. One day, a young woman came to him, her face filled with worry. "I feel like I'm falling behind," she said. "Everyone else seems to have their life together, except me." Leo smiled. "Do you remember the story of the 2 trees?" he asked. She shook her head. "In the forest," Leo began, "there were 2 trees. One grew quickly, reaching the sun in just a few years. The other grew slowly, its roots digging deep into the earth. When the storm came, the fast-growing tree was torn from the ground. The slow-growing tree was torn from the ground. The slow-growing tree stood firm. We cannot see the roots of others." The young woman wiped her tears. "So I should not worry if my life seems slower?" she asked. Leo nodded. "Your time will come. The only competition is with yourself." And so, the lesson of the river, the stones, and the trees spread through the village. People began to measure their lives not by others, but by their own growth. They found joy in small improvements, in quiet moments, in being true to themselves. The old man was never seen again, but his wisdom remained. And Leo, now older and wiser himself, often sat by the river, watching the water flow. He no longer compared himself to the sea. He was the river, steady, purposeful, and at peace. The end.